Good afternoon, and welcome to the 24th Annual Emily Couric Leadership Forum Luncheon. We all know and recognize fostering leadership and encouraging development in young ladies is something that Emily Couric was very passionate about.
In 24 years, the Emily Couric Leadership Foundation has given away 2,006 scholarships for a total of $1.85 million.
She's one of America's premier broadcast journalists, and it is my pleasure to welcome Judy Woodruff to the Emily Couric Leadership Forum. Please give her a warm Virginia welcome.
I am so delighted and so honored to be with all of you. Look at this room. This is just extraordinary in honor of Emily Couric. If there's one message I'd like to leave for all of you today, it is that we have never needed great leadership more than we do today. It's up to each one of you young, promising, talented women who are being honored today to set an example.
And now we have the 2024 Emily Couric Leadership Scholarship winner, Aisha Hermes of Albemarle High School.
By continuing to inspire and uplift one another, we can create a more inclusive and equitable society where everyone has the opportunity to pursue their dreams and interests without fear or discrimination. Thank you to the Emily Couric Leadership Forum for granting me and 10 other young women this incredible opportunity.
How wonderful it is to see all of you, friends, sponsors, Couric family members, students, and special guests. We are so appreciative of your support. My name is Elva Mason. I'm a member of the Emily Couric Leadership Forum Board. This is my second year, and I'm so honored to be a member of this board of awesome, dynamic women, all engaged, and whose mission it is to recognize young women in our community with extraordinary leadership abilities and positive impacts on our community. You will have an opportunity to get to know these ladies a little bit later in the program, and I'm sure you'll be impressed. As for a little bit of background on how I came to know Emily, I'm a third-generation Charlottesville native. In 1994, I returned to work as Director of Governmental Community Relations at UVA. And as a part of that job, I had to interact with government and community leaders. Upon my return to Charlottesville, many of the leaders reached out to me and said, "You have got to meet Emily Couric." And I thought, this is someone I definitely need to meet. And these folks were not people that were easily impressed. And so for them to come up to me to say that I must meet her meant that she had made an impression. Coincidentally, Emily was at my church the following Sunday and was introduced to me. She expressed an immediate interest in getting to know a diverse group of young women in the community and asked if I could help her. I thought I would introduce her to the Divine Nine, which is a national group of historically Black sororities and fraternities composed of many women in our community who were great leaders. Emily was so wanting to be ready to meet these young ladies. She grilled me on giving her information so that she could be prepared, and I came to know that that was the Emily way. She absorbed every bit of information like a sponge with enthusiasm, an enthusiasm that I had never seen before. So during that hot summer, we sat out on a junket for her to meet some of these community leaders, women who she wanted to get to know. The first stop was a cookout with my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. As soon as Emily arrived, she took off her shoes, took a comfortable seat on the floor, and made herself at home. She was engaging, she was intelligent, her sincerity was immediate and apparent. She instantly gained the respect of these women, and it was a tough group, I might add, but she fit in effortlessly. And it was at that moment that I realized and understood why she was so loved and respected and admired in our community. For me, getting to know her was a beautiful, blessed journey that I am so honored and appreciative of. And of course, we know all of her many accomplishments and contributions to our community. But first of all, we want to recognize some of our special guests who are joining us. Today we have Katie Reed Shevlin, who was our third winner in 2003. She is now Chief Development Officer of the Southern Environment Law Center. I don't know where you are, Katie, but if you are, well, let's give her a hand. Also joining us is Olivia Vonda Wood, a winner in 2016. She is now an Associate Analyst of Equity Research at T. Rowe Price, focused on small and mid-cap bank stocks involved with the Digital Asset Working Group. She passed the CFA Level 1 exam and will sit for the CFA Level 2 this fall. Please give her a warm welcome, Olivia, wherever you are. We also want to warmly welcome the Couric family. George Beller, who was Emily's husband for 20 years, and his wife, Katie Brooks. Emily's siblings, Clara Couric Batchelor and her husband, Jim Batchelor. John Couric and his wife, Mary Ann. Emily's sister, Katie Couric. And Emily's nephew, Martin Couric, and his wife, Aleda. And we are now pleased to welcome Emily's younger sister, Katie Couric, to the stage. Who will speak on behalf of the family. And she's my fellow Wahoo. I just had to get that in, Katie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Again, thank you all so very much for joining us and for your support, and please enjoy the luncheon.
Nice to see you all. I am so thrilled to be here. I know Alva introduced my family, but I'm so proud that they're here today, many family members. I'm going to introduce them again. So basically, Emily's sister and my sister, Clara Batchelor, and her husband, Jim, are here from Boston. My big brother, I'm the baby of the family. My big brother, John Couric, is here with his wife, Mary Ann. They recently relocated to Charlottesville, so please, all you Charlottesville residents, go say hey to Johnny and Mary Ann. George Beller, obviously Emily's husband, and the force behind the Emily Couric Clinical Cancer Center. This would not have happened without George, and he really drove this. So George, thank you for being here, and also his wife, Kaki, who was nice enough to buy a table. Kaki, I haven't been able to see you yet. I was printing my remarks at the last minute, which is so typical, but can't wait to say hi. Also, Martin Couric, Emily's nephew, and Johnny's son, and Martin's wife, Aleda, and Jessica Wadlow, who is married to Emily's other nephew, Ray Wadlow, wanted to be here, but unfortunately she has the flu, and she didn't want to turn this into a super spreader event. So a very good showing. Let's give all the Courics, Wadlows, and Bellers a round of applause. You know, it's really hard for all of us to believe that we lost Emily almost 23 years ago, but clearly her legacy lives on. On the Amtrak coming here from New York to Washington, D.C., someone stopped me and said what a huge difference the Emily Couric Clinical Cancer Center has made in the lives of so many families. And then when I got to Northern Virginia to spend the night with my friend Mandy on Sunday night, her husband David, in the middle of a conversation about the election, blurted out, "I wish your sister was alive so she could be president." I know I wish I could talk to Emily about the current state of politics and political discourse in this country. Something tells me there would be a great deal of head shaking involved. And while I don't see as many Emily Couric bumper stickers driving around Charlottesville these days, I'm grateful for all those of you here today who loved, respected, and admired our sister. As many of you know, Emily cared deeply about education and about making sure everyone had the opportunity to learn, grow, contribute, and lead. I know she would be so proud to see so many young women go on to do great things because of a scholarship named in her honor. And I wanted just to mention some facts about the Emily Couric Scholarship. In 24 years, the Emily Couric Leadership Foundation has given away 2,006 scholarships for a total of $1.85 million. The first scholarship in 2001 only gave $3,000 to one winner. Today, we are giving away $250,000 to 11 different winners. Congratulations to all the winners today. And ladies, I cannot wait to see what great leaders you become. And speaking of great leaders, I am thrilled that my friend Judy Woodruff has made her way to Charlottesville to receive the Emily Couric Leadership Award. Judy is, I don't know where Judy is, somewhere. Judy is someone I deeply admire and respect, and I can't think of someone with more grace and integrity to share her views with us today. So enjoy your lunch, and thank you all so much for coming.
I'm Carol Clark, and I'm a founding member of the Emily Couric Leadership Forum. And wow, what a delight to see such a packed audience for this event. It's thrilling to think that it's our 24th annual luncheon, and it's just a pleasure to have all of you here. And it's also my pleasure to introduce the recipient of our annual Leadership Award. As you probably know, we recognize an outstanding woman who exemplifies the high standards of civic leadership which Emily Couric so ably embodied, and a woman who has encouraged and contributed to expanding the role of women leaders in her field. In the field of journalism, no one meets our criteria any more than Judy Woodruff. Her accomplishments, accolades, and awards are well documented in her bio, which we made available to you. A New York Times columnist once said, "Ms. Woodruff's measured delivery, with her hands clasped and her voice low, stands as a counterweight to a haywire era of American news." That amply describes Judy. An Army brat who lived all over the world and had been to 7 schools by the 7th grade, and believe me, since I'd been to 6 by the 5th grade, telling the new teacher your name every year all over again is not an easy task. Because of all of her experience all over the world, Judy was destined for a career that involved people, travel, and politics. Judy ended up graduating from high school in Georgia and then from Duke with a degree in public policy. Since Judy and I graduated from college together, I have naturally followed her extensive career. In fact, in preparing for her introduction, and I found that Wikipedia is a vast amount of information, I discovered that Judy is 5 days older than I am. And since Judy told me not to share any more specifics, all I can say is it was a very good year. In preparation for her introduction, I asked Judy to remark on her accomplishments. And she humbly said, "I'm just thankful I have been able to be working in American journalism for an extended period of time." Judy has been in the field of broadcast journalism for over 50 years, starting as a secretary in an ABC affiliate in Atlanta. Her career has included roles at all the major networks and CNN, and finally landing at PBS, where she had the important role of anchor for the NewsHour every weeknight for over a decade. Consequently, Judy is a familiar face and voice to most of Americans. Judy's accolades are numerous, but one thing is of great importance to her, and she was the co-founder of the International Women's Media Foundation. That organization remains very special to her, and she still serves in an advisory capacity. Judy has interviewed innumerable heads of state and prime ministers, including those across the world in Great Britain, Egypt, Turkey, and Israel, to name only a few. She has also interviewed 8 of our last 9 presidents. And she's hard-pressed to tell us what was the most challenging and interesting interview. I pressed her on this. But she said, interviewing the President of the United States is always a challenge. She has authored books, moderated numerous presidential debates, taught public policy at Duke and Harvard, and always remains articulate, knowledgeable, insightful, unflappable, prepared, and calm. She's currently traveling more than ever, crossing the entire United States as she prepares for her bi-monthly and very timely segment on PBS, America at the Crossroads. When not working, Judy treasures her time with her husband, Al Hunt, who is also a journalist, her 3 children, and her grandson, who I understand she is keeping this week. And it was very important that she delivered him to school this morning at 8:45 so that she could fast-pace it to Charlottesville in time for our luncheon. She escapes to her retreat near the Chesapeake Bay on Maryland's eastern shore, enjoys an occasional game of tennis when time permits, and reads voraciously, mostly topics of world affairs and politics. And she just really, and if I could string that out, this is what she says, loves what she does, and it shows. She's one of America's premier broadcast journalists, and it is my pleasure to welcome Judy Woodruff to the Emily Couric Leadership Forum. Please give her a warm Virginia welcome.
Incredibly generous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much, Carol Clark, the much younger Carol Clark, for that very, very generous introduction. I am so delighted and so honored to be with all of you. Look at this room. This is just extraordinary in honor of Emily Couric. I hope you all can see what an extraordinary turnout this is. Can you just give yourselves a hand and what this represents? We're all here as we remember and as we honor the remarkable life and legacy of Emily Couric. It's a legacy that included singling out and inspiring countless young women here in Charlottesville and in Albemarle County. You know, I knew of Emily when she was alive. Unfortunately, I never had the pleasure of meeting her, but I knew enough to realize that she was a rising star in Virginia politics and public life, and I was very aware of the high esteem in which she was held. Her passing 23 years ago, as we heard Katie say, such a terrible loss for her family, and I'm so thrilled that the Couric family is here today. Our hearts are with each one of you as you think about what you lost and what Emily meant to this community. It was a loss, yes, for this community. It was a loss for the Commonwealth of Virginia, and yes, for the country. All the more reason that it is magnificent that this community, this program honors her year after year after year. And it's magnificent that Charlottesville and the University of Virginia continue that legacy with the Cancer Center in her name. And I just want to applaud everyone who's involved with work in the field in the name of Emily and everything that she represents. Now, I have known her quiet, shy sibling, Katie, for a few years, a long time. This is the only place, Katie, where you're known as Emily's sister, right? And I have been so proud to watch you, Katie, rocket to the top of broadcast news. over the most, and to stay engaged in our country at this moment when we need it a lot, to stay engaged in the most important issues of our time. You are a font of endless energy and enthusiasm. I've said this over and over again. If only there were a way to bottle Katie Couric, bottle the formula. Just think what you could do with that. But I have to say, Katie, of all your accomplishments, and they have been many, the most meaningful have been the work you have done in memory of your husband, Jay, and of Emily in raising awareness about colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, about how seriously we need to take this battle against cancer as a terrible disease that all of us are affected by one way or another, and that it has to be fought out in the open, hard and relentlessly, now and as long as we are around. So thank you, Katie Couric, for that. Thank you so much. And I am especially delighted to be sharing the stage with your Emily Couric Leadership Scholars, scholarship nominees and winners. I have read the biography of each one of these young women. They're sitting at this table. I've been able to sit with them. And wow, what an impressive group they are. They are smart, they're creative, they're energetic, they're self-starters. They care a lot about the people around them. It's very clear from just reading about them and then certainly talking to them. Just reading about what they've done left me exhausted. But I am so proud to be with all of you today. It's been a treat for me to just begin to get to know you, and I can't wait to watch you and see what you do in the years to come. I grew up, as you heard from Carol, as an Army brat. I moved around the world. I did go to 7 schools by 7th grade. I spoke a little German when we lived in Germany and a little Chinese when we lived in Taiwan. But when I was in high school, a long time ago, this was the 1960s, so comparing it to when you all are in high school, there were very few role models for women who wanted to serve their community, who wanted to step out and take on any sort of leadership role. Women had done important work, yes, as homemakers and mothers up through the 1950s, and that was continuing. Women were in charge of raising and nurturing the next generation and the one after that. But some women, in fact, many women, remembered what it was like to hold down jobs outside the home during World War II. While the men were off at war, women had a chance to do jobs that traditionally had been reserved for men. On the home front, women worked in factories, they worked in war industries. My own mother, who because her father died when she was 14, was never able to go beyond 10th grade. She worked in an aircraft plant during World War II. She was one of those Rosie the Riveters that we've seen in those famous posters. Another 350,000 women we now know joined the military during that war, served in medical and technical and even combat support roles, so that after the war, life kind of went back to normal, but by then many women had had a taste of independence and they wanted more. All of this ended up stoking the modern women's rights movement, which came into its own later on. But in the meantime, society was still feeling its way, and it would be years before meaningful change would happen for women. When I was a senior in high school, like all of you, my physics teacher never called on me or the only other woman in the class. Figure that out. When I was a freshman in college, my calculus instructor I started out majoring in math, changed to political science. The calculus instructor treated all of the women in the class like it was a mistake that he was teaching us or that we were there, that it just wasn't meant to be. It wasn't worth his time. Now, I have to confess, we're all better off that I didn't major in math. I had been told that I could be an insurance actuary, and heaven knows what I would have done with the actuarial tables. With all due respect to insurance actuaries, in case there are any here, I have to say in journalism, I've had a lot more fun. But when I was looking for my first job after college, I interviewed with the news directors of all 3 TV stations in Atlanta. for a position as newsroom secretary, because that was the only one that I was qualified for. I'll never forget it. I was sitting in the lobby of the ABC station in Atlanta talking to the news director, and after he told me that, yes, he could find a place for me, he was actually creating a position for somebody to take dictation, answer the phone, clean the film. And he said, okay, I can make this happen. And I stood up to leave, and I said, thank you so much, Mr. Conover. I so appreciate it. Without skipping a beat, he said, of course. How could I not hire somebody with legs like yours? This was 1968. Fortunately, times have changed. But fast forward a year, I was working as the secretary. I kept pestering the new news director, that guy was gone, to let me hang out with the reporters and the camera crews to learn from them. I said, I'll go out on weekends, I'll work in the evenings. And this news director's comment was, Judy, I don't know why you'd want to do that. We already have a woman reporter. And they did. They had one woman, she did the weather and she did features. And goodness knows, I appreciate what meteorologists do, and I appreciate weather reporting. In fact, I did that, ended up doing that for 6 months while I was the secretary in the newsroom. But it wasn't what I wanted to do ultimately. But as you can probably imagine, I persisted. I eventually was hired by another station, the CBS affiliate in Atlanta. I covered the state capitol, Governor Jimmy Carter, who would go on to run for and win the presidency. And for all my early trials at NBC, where I would later go to work, I was told I had a Southern accent that I had to get rid of. I was the kid reporter. But for all those early trials, the network bosses finally gave in to my pestering them, and they sent me to Washington to cover the White House. This was the era when women correspondents were often pitted against each other, frankly. We were singled out. We were compared with one another. There were so few of us. It was pretty easy to do that. But, and you're going to hear me say this again, I persisted. So did a lot of other women. And while the barriers didn't disappear, things slowly got better for women, so that women like Katie and others would be named, as she was, prominent role on co-host of the Today Show, the amazing program, and later anchor of the CBS Evening News, national news broadcast. So over at PBS, where I landed in the 1980s, and again 17 years later after a detour I made to CNN, history was made, they told us, in 2013, when the late great Gwen Ifill and I were named the first two women to co-anchor a national evening news broadcast. You will appreciate the fact that the first problem we encountered was not how are we going to cover the news, because by then each one of us had decades of reporting under our belt, but what color clothes were we going to wear every night? We realized that unlike two men who could basically wear the same coat and tie with hardly anybody noticing, there was no way that Gwen and I could show up every night or one night wearing the same color. What would it look like if we were sitting side by side wearing blue or red, like the Bobbsey twins? And so we started an email system, or texting eventually, where we took turns. One of us would say, okay, this week I'm going to wear yellow, red, green, and so on. What color we planned to wear every night, and the other one would wear something different. And we had to do this, but the funny thing was, after just a few months, we kind of intuited what the other one was going to wear because we had seen, I guess, what was in each other's wardrobes. And we knew what was going on. And all those years that Gwen and I were co-anchoring, there was only one day when we showed up in this. I came to work in purple. Gwen showed up in purple. She insisted on going home, driving all the way home from the studio to wear to wear another dress. But we didn't have to email anymore. We were close, and we always said that we had each other's back. We decided early on, because there were stories about how are these two women going to get along. It was as if people, because it was women, that there were going to be some kind of catfight. Gwen and I decided very early that was not going to happen. We were going to have each other's back, that we were going to share everything with one another. I knew that anything that happened to Gwen, I was there for her. She certainly said that for me, so that when we lost Gwen to cancer in 2016, somebody who had blazed a trail for young women of color, breaking down barriers from the very start of her career as a print reporter, and then she was on to television at NBC and PBS. We lost a giant in our industry. She put up with the worst sort of racism and went on to become one of the most respected journalists of her generation. She is someone whose memory I carry with me every day, and her legacy, her belief that journalism is a high calling, that a journalist's job is to hold the powerful accountable. And I know that I'm a better reporter, and I hope I'm a better person because of Gwen. She made an enormous influence. She was an enormous influence in my life, and I can't talk about the work I've done over my career without talking about Gwen and what she meant. So it's taken a lot of years, but the good news is there has been change in the news media. More women are running news organizations. In business, women are moving up the ladder into positions of responsibility and decision-making. In the law, 4 of the 9 members of the Supreme Court are women. In politics, we have, I don't have to tell all of you, we have a woman vice president, a woman who was almost elected president, a powerful, we've seen, woman Speaker of the House, more women mayors, women members of Congress. When Emily Couric was in the Virginia State Senate, and I think my research is right, there were 14 women legislators. Today, that has more than tripled to 48. Virginia is one of 18 states now that have never had a woman governor, but next year, both of the major party candidates for governor may be women. And my journalist husband, who has covered politics for even longer than I have, says that Susan Swecker, who is the current Virginia State Democratic Party chair, is one of the 2 most effective party leaders in the country. So that's Al Hunt's endorsement. Those women, all of those women, are standing on Emily Couric's shoulders. She was, as you know, a state legislator, co-chair of the party. She was in the vanguard of change, and that's why it is so important that you continue to honor her legacy and what it's meant and what it's grown into. It doesn't mean the path ahead is smooth. Women still, we know, are expected to carry on the bulk of housekeeping and child raising in America, as we saw so clearly during the pandemic, when millions of women stopped working outside the home. Women's labor force participation hit a low that had not been seen since 1988. We lost an entire generation of gains. Thankfully, that is slowly coming back, and I am confident that these gains will continue because I believe women will demand it. And because it has to be. We cannot let half of the country's population sit on the sidelines because we have tough problems as a country, and we need women, and young women especially, like all of you here today, to help solve them. And just a word about my reporting project for the NewsHour. For the last year and a half, America at a Crossroads, it is to try to understand this country's deep divide. Why is it that so many families can't even gather together around the Thanksgiving dinner table? Why are neighbors building fences, turning against other neighbors? Why have people unfriended friends on Facebook? The political scientists and other researchers tell us Americans are not only farther apart in their opinions on the toughest issues like government spending and immigration and abortion, but they have darker views of people in the other party. 8 years ago, 45% of Republicans told the Pew Research Center that they believed Democrats were dishonest. Today, it's 72%. That is almost as steep an increase as, we see almost as steep an increase on the part of Democrats in their attitude toward Republicans. 35% of Democrats said Republicans were immoral. That was 8 years ago. Today it's 64%. I've been traveling around the country talking to ordinary Americans. We've been to 20 states so far. We've done more than 30 reports for the NewsHour. We have found formerly quiet, sleepy school board meetings that have turned into shouting matches. We've seen partisans who look down on, don't respect people on the other side of the political spectrum, and other partisans who accuse the other side of hating America. While I knew this was not a simple phenomenon, it has turned out to be far more layered and complex, even than we realized. A combination of economic inequality, lingering racism, fear of immigrants, rapidly changing technology, a news media that magnifies conflict, the internet, social media, cable news that spread opinion and sometimes misinformation and even disinformation, the disappearance of local news, possibly the decline we've seen in teaching civics education, and frankly, a coarsening of the culture modeled by some of our political leaders who don't just say the other side is wrong, they demonize them and say they're un-American or even evil. As the Republican governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, told me in an interview this spring, it's not American to hate other Americans. Governor Cox is trying to get the nation's governors right now, as he puts it, to disagree better. Others are looking to the younger generation to reject this cycle of negativity. And I think that that's exactly what the young women you honor with these scholarships today are going to do. If there's one message I'd like to leave for all of you today, it is that we have never needed great leadership more than we do today. We all realize that our country is going through a tough period, and we've come to understand that we can't wait for our national leaders to lead us out of this. This is one of those occasions when it's up to us. It's up to you. It's up to each one of you young, promising, talented women who are being honored today to set an example, to call on the rest of us to step up, to treat others with respect, to say it's not wrong to sit down and listen to people we disagree with. And it's not wrong in the toughest of moments to seek compromise. That is not a four-letter word. That leadership can come from you. It can come from everyone in this room. Don't wait for it to be offered. Take the lead yourself. You've already shown that you're capable. Keep learning. Be humble. Don't assume you have all the answers, but don't be afraid to lead. This is a special place, the United States, a place we keep trying to improve. It's what makes it unique. And in the spirit of Emily Couric, you and your generation can help make the unfolding American story one that you and all of us are proud to be part of. Thank you so much.
And thank you again for your wonderful words today. My name is Beth Kennan, and I have the great honor of chairing the Emily Couric Leadership Forum Board. Listening today was so inspiring, Ms. Woodruff. Thank you. Thank you so much. We each year present the Women's Leadership Award to a woman who inspires, who sets an example in their career and encourages future generations. It's my great honor, Ms. Woodruff, to present this award to you.
Here we are at that moment that we relish where we get to meet the Couric winners from each high school. If you are a parent in the room today, or a counselor or a coach of one of the honorees, please raise your hand now high so we can thank you. If you're one of the judges who had the pleasure of meeting these women in person, please raise your hand. Thank you. And finally, as I call the name of your daughter or granddaughter, please raise your hand high in the next bit so we know who to thank for how beautifully they turned out. The following are the finalists from each school, starting with Evelyn Wellman of Charlottesville High School. Evelyn is the daughter of Brooks and Chad Wellman. Evelyn exudes joy and doesn't wait for others to act. As president of the Young Feminists, she helped host a fundraiser for women's education in Afghanistan. She's also a talented musician, principal cellist in the vaunted CHS Orchestra, and a pianist selected for the Governor's School. When Evelyn noticed that there was an unused piano at Friendship Court, which is now called Kindlewood, she went around offering free piano lessons to any residents who wanted them, and gave piano lessons to a young girl from Afghanistan who soon after gave a recital and filmed it for her friends and family back in Afghanistan. For 3 years, she was music director and pianist for a woman-led church on Market Street, a church that specializes in being a welcoming place for the unhoused and previously incarcerated. She's passionate about having a safe school and signed up 100 students at CHS to learn how to intervene when they see abuse, assault, and discrimination. She is bound for Princeton in the fall. Evelyn. Lily Krull of Community Lab School. Lily is the daughter of Corey and Tina Krull. Lily is an advocate against book bans. She created a ban-to-book challenge to encourage reading of banned books that are about class, race, and power structures. She also volunteered as a school library aide to promote cultural literacy. Lily is passionate about environmental issues, especially the disappearing wetlands. She spent part of a summer creating her school's pollinator garden, teaching the others how to identify native plants and working to grow the pollinator garden and encouraging creation of other such gardens. In English class, she used her love for romantic comedies to include Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew in the curriculum. And through her study of Iranian poetry, she has learned to combat miscommunication and misinformation. Lily will attend UVA, where she will study political science and environmental science. Grace Wolf of the Covenant School. Grace is the daughter of Jennifer and Robert Wolf. Grace is the captain of multiple varsity teams and is Covenant's community service coordinator. Her knowledge of American Sign Language, along with her compassion, made her an ideal counselor at a camp for deaf children and their hearing friends called Signs of Fun. It was at that camp where Grace met 5-year-old Ida, who was frantically calling for her mother. Ida's cochlear implant was turned off after a free swim period, and it was switching from English to sign language. Grace found her, soothed her, and calmed her panic and was able to sign what was troubling her. They found Ida's mom, and things turned out well. Grace encouraged her fellow counselors at the camp to use American Sign Language when around the deaf campers. She plans to start more deaf clubs and camps to be more communities for hard of hearing and deaf children. She'll become a Wahoo in the fall. Grace. Lucy Strandquist of Miller School of Albemarle. Lucy is the granddaughter of Laura Morgan. Lucy's motto is "Life won't wait," and it's evident in everything she does, from organizing a winter dance, being captain of the soccer team, to co-directing the school play, and especially by founding 2 new student groups. Lucy created the Teens Interacting with Addiction initiative to provide support for young people whose lives have been impacted by substance abuse. She's also a founding member of the Gender and Sexuality Alliance, Miller School's first ever LGBTQ+ organization, and a safe space for the students. In the face of some pushback from some students, Lucy writes, "I was persistent. More than anything, I prioritized caring for the members of my club, encouraging the free expression of their LGBTQ+ identities." Lucy is bringing her compassion and can-do spirit to Vassar in the fall. Next, we have Hania Sanad of Monticello High School. Hania is the daughter of Ninu Kuni Muhammad and Sanad Majid. Hania had only a few days' notice that she was leaving her home in India to move to the US. This was the start of the COVID shutdown, and word came from the American government that her father's work visa had been approved, so the whole family relocated suddenly to Charlottesville. She's interested in medicine and is the school president of Health Occupation Students of America. She arranged for students to attend UVA's Discover Medicine program to learn about healthcare through lectures and hands-on patient exams. She's also vice president of the Science and French Honor Societies, and with student interest in French declining, she and others helped recruit new students by giving talks and fun activities. Hania plans to become a doctor and will attend UVA in the fall, where she is especially interested in oncology and the Emily Kurek Cancer Center. Madeline Parham of Regent School of Charlottesville. Madeline is the daughter of Angel and Jonathan Parham. Maddie is a leader and an independent thinker who hopes to become a classics professor. She's active on the tennis team, in drama productions, and she's an accomplished harpist. She's a straight-A student taking college-level courses. Her counselor says Maddie invests in people and hopes especially to serve impoverished Black communities, such as the one she grew up in inner-city New Orleans. There she worked at an after-school program run by her mother that helped children gain the same educational advantages that Maddie enjoyed. This also helped her become an empathetic leader and connect with all types of people. When she was 12, she converted to Catholicism on her own and is now a religious educator at St. Thomas Aquinas Church. Maddie will become part of the University of Virginia in the fall. Zoe Shelley of Renaissance School. Zoe is the daughter of Christy Shackelford Shelley and Wesley Shelley. Zoe has served as co-leader of the Young Political Activist Club and the Poetry Club, where she sends daily poetry prompts to members and edits their poems. She leads workshops on political letter writing and started the first varsity athletic team at Renaissance, a triathlon team, for which she recruited and helped train the runners and the bikers. Zoe has volunteered at Martha Jefferson, helping the nurses in patient care and shadowing the oncologists. She has her heart set on becoming an OBGYN doctor and cares deeply about how few medical schools have a curriculum on women's health. She asks, if NFL players had menstrual cycles that impacted their performance, wouldn't researchers study it relentlessly? Zoe is leaning toward Dickinson College, among others, but toward Dickinson in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And if anyone here is an alum, feel free to lobby. Jenk Lee Lanchero Sepulveda of Tandem Friends School. Jenk is the daughter of Jessica Carolina Sepulveda Nino. Jenk is a remarkable woman. She's attentive to her studies while working in an after-school job and helping care for her brothers and sisters, including cooking for them and translating at their school conferences and doctor visits. She's passionate about standing up to injustice, and in her young life, she's experienced far more than her share of it. When she was 5, her father was killed and her mother's life was threatened, so the mother and 6 children fled from Colombia to Ecuador. They eventually made it to Charlottesville with refugee status, but Jenk has been haunted by the past. She says in the Hispanic community, there is a lot of stigma surrounding mental health services, yet her own therapy has taught her how important mental health care is. Jenk plans to become a psychiatrist. She hopes one day to travel to low-income neighborhoods in America and South America, touting the importance of mental health services and access. She will join the University of Mary Washington in beautiful Fredericksburg in the fall. Opal Rain Stonesmith Kendall of Western Albemarle High School. Opal is the daughter of Rebecca and David Kendall. Opal is passionate about civic education, investigative journalism, and promoting an informed citizenry. She's editor of Western student newspaper, The Western Hemisphere. Her journalism teacher, Jill Williams, credits Opal with restoring a sense of mission to the paper's staff after the disruption of COVID. She says Opal creates an environment where everyone is motivated to do high-quality reporting. Opal is a leader of Western Albemarle's We the People team, which has won numerous constitutional law competitions. She's also president of the Young Democrats and enjoys political organizing. Her high school counselor writes, like Emily Couric herself, Opal is dedicated to serving others and creating a more just and equitable society for all. She's thrilled she'll be attending Georgetown University. Please give a hand to all these extraordinary women as they take their seats. Now I would like to introduce you to our Merit Scholarship winner. Sonia Kameth of St. Anne's Belfield School is the Joshua J. Scott Merit Scholarship winner. She is the daughter of Vanessa Gregg and Wesley Adams and Susanna and Prakash Kameth. The board recently named our Merit Award in memory of the late Joshua J. Scott. He was a beloved man and a member of our community who worked with Senator Couric and served for many years on the interview and selection panel for our scholarships, where he was a tireless advocate for offering the Merit Award. The judges say Sonia has an incredible ability to communicate and listen, and her humility allows her to connect with others immediately. She loves finding ways to engage with people across barriers. For instance, she volunteers at the International Rescue Committee and went so far as to teach herself French and Spanish in order to communicate with the people she worked with there. As someone who also cares deeply about agriculture and climate change, Sonia's president of a school group called FEED, which stands for Food, Education, Equity, and Distribution. She's also a school journalist and a songwriter, and uses her songwriting to combat the depression she feels about environmental woes. A true Renaissance woman, Sonia plans a career in foreign service. She'll be attending, fittingly, the University of St. Andrews in St. Andrews, Scotland. Sonia Kameth. Oh no. And now we have Aisha Hermes of Albemarle High School, who is the 2024 Emily Couric Leadership Scholarship winner. Aisha is the daughter of Rafa Kuki and Nazir Hermes. You'll hear from Aisha in a minute. The judges call Aisha awesome on all the levels. When her closest friends drowned in a tragic accident, Aisha turned her grief into action. She reached out to the YMCA and the Charlottesville Rescue Team to secure free swimming lessons and free pool time for minorities. She advocates for policies that promote swimming programs for vulnerable populations and believes swimming proficiency is a universal human right, not a privilege. Aisha is the first female student with a headscarf in Albemarle's Math, Engineering, and Science Academy. And she's been an inspiration to other young women who wear the headscarf and also want to pursue STEM. It was intimidating to feel judged for her cultural background and her headscarf, but she bounced back. She is an audacious woman, unafraid to break barriers. Aisha taught herself to sew, mentoring younger students as they sewed 200 bibs and blankets for needy women in a single day. And someday, as a doctor, she says her needle and thread will always be with her as she sews chemotherapy turbans for her women patients and toys for her child patients. Aisha will attend NYU in the fall as a pre-med student.
I want to start off by generously thanking the Emily Couric Leadership Forum for granting me and 10 other young women this incredible opportunity. I truly could not be more grateful for the sponsors, the board, and the staff for continuing to support young women across the Charlottesville area and encouraging them to pursue and accomplish their dreams. During my freshman year, I found out about the Emily Couric Leadership Forum, and I had only dreamed of being nominated and representing my school. I know that 14-year-old Aisha would be so shocked and thrilled to know that she'd be standing up here 4 years later, giving a speech to hundreds of people. As I express my deepest gratitude for my parents, for their unwavering support and belief in my dreams, I'm reminded of the journey I've undertaken as a minority young woman in the pursuit of my aspirations. As the only North African American female student at my high school, I have faced some challenges in accomplishing my dreams, as some questioned my potential and judged me solely based on my cultural background and my headscarf. However, I have refused to let these challenges and prejudices hinder me from working hard to realize my ambitions. And I have taken it upon myself to not only concentrate on my academic goals and seize every opportunity that comes my way, but to also motivate several refugees and underrepresented students in my school and community to pursue their dreams and persevere no matter what obstacle gets in their way. Inspired and fueled by my curiosity about the underrepresentation of minority girls like myself, I dare to respond with bold audacity and positive action, which has allowed me to break barriers not only for myself, but also for other girls who share similar dreams and aspirations. Breaking through barriers is not only crucial for personal growth, but also for paving the way for future generations of underrepresented women worldwide. It's moments like these that remind us of the importance of perseverance and resilience in the face of adversity. By continuing to inspire and uplift one another, we can create a more inclusive and equitable society where everyone has the opportunity to pursue their dreams and interests without fear or discrimination. In a world where gender and societal expectations can sometimes overshadow our ambitions, it's essential for us to stand firm in our convictions and advocate for our passions. From a young age, my biggest passion has been to help people worldwide live in dignity. As I grew up, I channeled my passion for helping others into medical research. Incorporating my passion for medicine into one of my research projects, I developed a prototype device that accurately detects seizure attacks and alerts the patient's family. I was inspired by my family friend in Tunisia who suffers from severe epilepsy and has been disabled since birth. Due to the very limited resources in Tunisia, he and countless others cannot live a comfortable life. As a result, I made it my mission to alleviate his and others' suffering. From this experience, I knew that I had to continue working in the medical field and to work on ensuring equity and social justice for everyone everywhere. My journey in medicine and social justice has taught me the power of resilience and the importance of using my voice to uplift those around me. By embracing my dual passions, I hope to not only break down barriers in traditionally male-dominated fields, but also ask to serve as a beacon of hope for young women everywhere who dare to dream beyond the limitations society may impose. As we celebrate the progress of women in leadership, it's imperative to acknowledge the resilience and audacity required to challenge societal norms and advocate for our passions. With unwavering determination, let us continue to uplift one another, empower each other, and strive towards a future where gender equality and social justice are not just aspirations, but realities we actively work towards. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.